Make sure we're actually recording on the recorder.
Well, looks I got a live feed here. It says live on my end. So
We are live. So I guess we're ready to start.
all right.
This episode of the 4x4 podcast is brought to you by Amazon.com and listeners like you. If you're like me, then you probably do a lot of shopping online to avoid the headache of going to the brick and mortar store. Amazon has just about anything you need for your off-road rig and your next adventure, or even just the stuff you need for everyday life. By using our link, the 4x4podcast.com/Amazon, before you do your shopping, and they'll send us a tiny percentage of each sale to help us support the podcast. It's not much, but it all adds up. So thanks to shopping and supporting the show.
You're listening to the 4x4 Podcast, the podcast all about four-wheeling, overlanding, off-road racing, and the outdoor lifestyle. We talk about news, tips and tricks, answer your questions, and interview big and little names in the off-roading world. So whether your rig is busted and you're in the shop wrenching on it or on your way to the trail, join us and we'll keep you plugged in on topics to help you get away. Here are your hosts, Dan and Craig.
Well, hello, Craig. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, Dan. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. And we are back for episode 83 of the 4x4 podcast. And I'm really excited.
We've got that 100 show. We're going to get to that.
I know.
We've got to do something special for that 100 show. We're less than 20 shows away.
It's going to come up real fast.
For that 100 show.
Yeah, and actually, just recently we crossed over the 100,000 download mark. So that's a pretty big milestone, over 100,000 downloads of the podcast episodes. So that's huge. Excellent. We got our live audience.
All right.
So, yeah, but this one has an interview with Trey from Pronghorn Overland, and I've actually had this interview recorded for, well, I recorded it before I left Afghanistan, so it's been a long time coming. And we are doing the Google Plus, the Hangout on air, so people can check us out live if they're not doing anything on a Saturday night, or it'll, live forever on YouTube, or at least until somebody takes it down. But let's go ahead and start off the show here with our interview with Trey. And now, if you're just watching the YouTube video, you'll have to go to the 4x4podcast.com/83 and check out the full episode there, which will include the episode or the interview. But for the YouTube version, we are not going to include it. You just got to go over there and download the real thing. So we will jump back into the episode. All right, Trey, thank you very much for taking the time out of your schedule to join us here on the podcast and talking about all your very innovative products. Craig, what do you think about those Pronghorn bumpers?
I think I like the idea of that they came up with, that it's a more solid connector. The stuff doesn't move around on the thing, and you can fit it to your personal use. That the bumper, you don't have to have it like everybody else. You can adjust it and move it around the way you feel it should, and it still will function as well as it was manufactured. I think that's a great idea, and I was hoping that they do some stuff for the older Jeeps, not just the newer Jeeps. But I'm thinking, I didn't get a chance to look at their website. But my YJ could use a nice rear or front bumper. But it sounds like they're more into the newer manufacturer bumpers. So I'm not going to see anything, and if I do, it's probably going to be really expensive. But their product sounds awesome, and so it's given me some ideas. My friend owns a fab shop, so I'm going to take some of his ideas and try to roll those into a bumper for my Jeep.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely targeting the market for the vehicles that are mostly on the road right now. There's not as many XJs as there are JKs, so it would make sense to have it built for the JK.
Of course,
but they've got some other ones come for the full size and for the Toyotas. So But it's a very cool idea. I'm really glad to see that kind of stuff hitting the markets. And hopefully, sometime in the future I'll have a vehicle that, I can find a bumper from Pronghorn for. So until then, I'll just have to hope that the rust doesn't eat away at my ARB bumper on my XJ for now.
Rhino line it.
Yeah, well, once that rust starts, I'll have to take it all the way off, clean it up as best I can, and do the POR 115. I've tried using the like the spray-on and the roll-on rust converter. It's supposed to be kind of like the POR 115, but it just doesn't work as well, which is unfortunate. So I know my rear bumper is the one that's really taken a beating. It was not powder coated as well as the ARB. The front bumper, the ARB is actually in really good shape considering how much time it spent up there in the northeast area.
Yeah, either the Rhino line or the powder coat seems to make that no rust. It keeps the rust out.
Yeah. Well, and what's wrong with the problem with powder coating is that if you get a chip or a scratch, it's really, really difficult to repair. You can't just give it a touch-up, whereas Rhino lining is basically indestructible. I've never heard of anybody having to go back and have their Rhino lining redone or touched up. That's just not something I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
So, stuff's great. I'd love to coat an entire vehicle in it, actually. I've seen that done a couple of times.
Yeah, I've seen it done a couple of times too, and it looks like, and it's funny, it's like you don't have to worry about it. I was wheeling in the Rubicon, and a guy had a little Suzuki, I want to say Samurai, but it doesn't sound right, but had a Suzuki, and it was, the entire thing was Rhino lined. And we were stuck in a bad spot where there was only one other way around, but it was really tight, and you'd have to rub up against the tree to get around. Well, he goes, "Yeah, I'm Rhino lined." Don't hit the tree, just kept going. Didn't damage the tree, and it didn't damage his body, and he just kept going. I was like, "There's not even a scratch." So.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. I've seen. I had a buddy who had one all Rhino lined, and he actually had it green, like a dark forest green, instead of just regular black, and we called it the avocado because it had that rough skin texture.
Well, then I know that the new Rhino lines come in different colors, so I'm not sure of all the colors. I've seen red, I've seen yellow, I've seen blue, but it's kind of more of a blue, not a deep blue.
Yeah.
And of course, black. I think I've seen purple too, but that's about it.
Yeah. Well, anyways, we can jump back to the news here. We've only got 2 news articles for this episode. We've got a bunch more lined up for the next show. But to start us off, have you had a chance to take a look at the new BF Goodrich all-terrain KO2 tires that BFGA just announced recently?
Well, I looked through their little explanation of their tires, but to me, I'm more of a hands-on guy. I mean, I need to see them, touch them, take it, have a set, put them on a truck, take them out, and see how they actually perform.
Yeah.
I haven't had anybody yet tell me about them until you did, so I hadn't been able to do any physical research, go out. I know some guys at auto parts store, and I could go look at them, put my hands on them, but not that yet. So
yeah, I don't think they're actually on the market just yet to buy. And actually, just recently, they brought a whole host of automotive journalists down to Mexico and put them in the Baja Challenge race cars, and for a week just took them around the Baja Peninsula and let them do the abusing on the tires and let them see what they thought of it. So what I do know right now, from the looks of it, the biggest difference is that they've got a lot more sidewall strength to them. I don't remember the actual percentages of better strength, but that's always been kind of the one complaint about the all-terrain tires is the sidewall strength. And just visibly from looking at it is those tread lugs on the sidewall, like on the shoulder portion of the tire, are a lot beefier.
The sidewall is a lot beefier and a lot deeper down the side, so you get a little bit more grip on the snow, sand, or something like that. It looks like a well-performing tire. I mean, I don't think BFG has always been good tires, so I know they're not going to put out a product that doesn't work well.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, these are very similar, now keeping with the design theme for BF Goodrich tires, because that same shoulder design is on their rugged trail tires. That's what I had on my wife's Suburban before we, lost it. And they worked really well. I was very happy with them. Now these are a little more pronounced. There's a lot more tread depth to that shoulder section, and the alternating cutouts on the outer lugs of the tire. But it looks like the center section is very similar to the previous version. The siping is cut a little bit differently. They're more, perpendicular to the rotation of the tire. So that's a little more pronounced. But I've heard nothing but good things. And actually here soon, maybe for the next episode, I'm going to have an interview with Frank Ledwell, the editor-in-chief over at Outdoor by 4 magazine. He just recently got back from Mexico. He was one of the guys down there smashing on the tires. So looking forward to seeing what he thinks of it. But I've been very happy with it, and I'm not quite in the market for new tires on my wife's Yukon now, but this is what I'm going to be looking at.
Yeah, I had a diesel magazine right here, and I pulled it up. That's why I've been looking down. I wanted to look up one of the tire sellers in the magazine, and they have the BF Goodriches right here, the all-terrain ATKOs, and looking at the screen, the tread pattern, the outside tread pattern into the sidewall is the only difference. The center is exactly the same as the KO.
Yeah.
The KOs. So the KO2s, they're the only difference is that from I'd say the middle tread, which is the 3 middle treads down the center, are the same as the original KOs, and now the new KO2s from the outside tread out is what's really different.
Yeah,
all the way down the sidewalls. So
I am looking forward to actually trying that. I wish there was some way to give tires a test on a vehicle before you buy them. You take a car for a test drive, and the tires have such an impact on how a vehicle performs, and yet you plunk down over $1,000 on new tires, and you just live with it. There's no testing at all. So I wish there was a way to do that.
Yeah,
I guess maybe you talk a buddy into buying the tires, and then you just borrow them for a little bit.
Well, see, that's the thing is before I put a set of tires on a vehicle, I usually ask my buddies. That's the best way. I say, okay, well, these tires, what do you think of these tires? You have these, what do you think of them? And I'll ask people. I'm not afraid to, because they'll be honest with me, especially a buddy or a friend will be honest with you. Do you like these tires? No, I don't like these tires. They do this or they do that. And one of our friends, he found a set of tires, and I, for the life of me, cannot remember the name of them. He got some for his tow rig to tow his fifth wheel, and he says he loves these tires, and I'll have to get the name of them. And they are great because you don't need it. You don't need a big tire. They are on all terrain, They're quiet on the road. I mean, not extremely, but they're quieter on the road. And they, oh shoot, and they grate in sand. I mean, this guy's pulling I think a 30-foot fifth wheel
Oh
with a
wow.
sand rail in the back, and he goes out to Pismo all the time. And he says he hits the beach, he just airs down to 10 to 15 pounds, and boom, and goes. And it's
Wow.
not lifted, and he doesn't have anything special on the tow rig. He says he never gets stuck, and it's always great on the road. I'll have to get the name of those tires, and I'll get those back out. Get
Okay.
on the podcast. I'm trying to find something else here, but I can't seem to find it. But
All
I
right.
always ask a friend. They'll be the best, especially if they live in the same area you do, because then they're gonna know the weather conditions, how well the tire works in certain conditions, how it works in snow, how it works in mud, how it works in sand, how it works just on dry pavement. They're going to know the best. And I always take a friend's advice because, and ask a couple of people if you can.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always one way, and I'm always just apprehensive to get new tires anyway. So that's why I've been running the same BF Goodrich mud tires. I don't even have the KM2s yet. I still have the older ones, and they're just fine. I've got probably 40,000 miles on them, and they'll probably dry rot before I run out of tread. So I put them on in 2008, and they're still going strong. So.
Well, I had bought some mud terrains, and I had on one of my vehicles. I loved them. They were great. They did great in the rain, and they did great on dry pavement. And it was one of my trucks I drove to work every day, and then took it out and beat it on the weekends. And I can't say I didn't get stuck because I wasn't lifted, but
Yeah, and I can admit to the mud tires being very bad in ice and snow, like just hard packed snow. But I see that as just being kind of part of the adventure. So,
See,
it's fine.
So you wouldn't think that a mud tire would be bad in snow and ice because it's got that nice big tread, it's got that open space where the snow can get into, but it's still, you slip and slide. I guess it's just because you have just that less of tire hitting the ground.
Yeah, well, I think it's because it's a hard rubber compound, and it doesn't have any siping cut in the tread blocks, and so they don't really, grab the ice like maybe a snow tire would. Snow tires are traditionally very soft rubber. They'll wear very fast, and they've got lots of lateral siping cut into the tread, whereas the mud tire doesn't do that because it's designed to withstand being spun on sharp rocks and stuff. So, but that's fine. I've been okay with it. My Jeep has not ended up in the ditch. It just requires somebody to drive. I mean, it's been in the ditch, but only on purpose. So
yeah, so you can drive back out of it.
Exactly.
The ditch.
Exactly. Well, the next bit of news we have here. Have you ever been out to Death Valley and seen the racetrack where the rocks seemingly move themselves?
I have not been out there, but I've always heard about that, and I've heard about this story, the Death Valley rocks. And when you put it up, and I looked the other day, I went through our show notes, and I saw this, and I hit the video, and I went through the video, and I was amazed to find out about it. People have to go through, watch the whole video, and you will understand that everybody thought it was one thing, and now it's another. And
I know it. It's just mind-blowing.
yeah, it's mind-blowing that everybody thought, oh, it was the wind. Well, it's not.
Yeah.
And
So,
to watch
spoiler
the video.
alert.
I don't want to ruin it for people. I mean, I'd love to just tell everybody what's wrong, but you have to go to our webpage, go to the show notes, go to the attachment, go to their web, go to what's
Well, here, if somebody wants to know, just pause the podcast right now. Go to the 4x4podcast.com/83, and we'll have a link to the video where you can go get the full-on explanation yourself. But in the background, it is a lake bed that is usually dried. And when it is dried, you can go out there and you'll see these rocks the size of bowling balls have left really strange patterns across the lake bed. And they're all in different directions, and there really is not a whole lot of rhyme or reason to it a lot of times. And this has always been just something that I've wanted to see myself. I haven't been able to go down there, and everybody that's been has said it's just a mystery. Nobody knows because nobody's actually seen it happen. It's been, conspiracy theories, everything from aliens scooting these along as to, like Craig was saying, once it turns to mud and there's wind blowing. Well, these rocks are so large that it just seems very improbable that wind would be blowing these rocks across.
Yeah.
So, if you want to see it, go to the video. But I'll give you the spoiler. I'm going to do it. I'm going to give you the spoiler.
You're going to give the spoiler. Okay.
All the listeners have had enough warning now that if you don't want to know, just stop listening right now and go check it out, or skip. I don't know. Skip to the end. Yeah. So
if you want to know, you better pause right now. Go and find out first. Then he's going to give. So then we're going to come back and give you the spoiler. The spoiler of the Death Valley rock walking before your eyes.
So what happens is when there is water in the lake bed. During the winter, it does get cold in Death Valley, out there in the desert, and the water freezes. Well, the ice chunks will give a little more buoyancy than just a rock by itself, and so the rock gets frozen inside this giant block of ice, and the wind will blow, and it actually does move the big pieces of ice with the rock trapped in it. So it's just right there, like perfect conditions.
As the ice starts to melt,
yep.
Then the rocks start to shift because they're stuck in the ice.
Yep, and so it'll drag some rocks one direction, and other rocks may be too heavy or too light or falling through the ice melt, and it doesn't get moved. And so two rocks side by side will not necessarily have the same track left in the mud. So that's probably as best as I can explain it.
Spoiler.
It's
even better.
Yeah, you just have to watch the video because you have the actual scientists explaining it, and you can actually watch the rocks move. They've got some time-lapse footage. And honestly, I'm surprised that it's taken till the year 2014 for somebody to figure this out.
Well,
it's awesome.
I think it's great. So...
And I still want to go, and I want to see it myself, even though the mystery is a little bit gone. It's still just a, phenomenon of nature that I want to see myself.
Yeah.
So, very cool.
I figure when I go down to, I go down to the King of the Hammers, I'll swing by and look.
Yeah. Well, I think it's still a pretty good ways out of the way from Johnson Valley, so you'll have to make a deliberate trip out there.
Well, that'll be the closest then to Death Valley as I will. King of the Hammers is pretty much right there. So.
Yep. All right. Well, that is it for the news for this episode, for episode 83. But we do have a voicemail, and I've had this one from Tom Rack, and I'm going to have the links, the pictures, some of the pictures on the show notes here. Like I mentioned before, the 4x4podcast.com/83 is the links to the show notes. And Tom Rack has put together a tribute, JK, to the New York Fire Department and all the firefighters that gave their lives during 9/11. So you really need to go check these out. It's just a phenomenal looking vehicle. But I'm going to play this voicemail from Tom right now.
Morning, this is Tom Rack. I'm the owner of the 911 Tribute Jeep Wrangler JK343. Starting my day off, which is promised to be a very memorable day, something that the Jeep was built for. Over 2 years, almost 3 years of blood, sweat, and tears, numerous sponsor contributions, friends and family members helping me out to build this remarkable piece. We're heading out to Staten Island to start at Rescue Company 5 for a Wounded Warrior motorcade. It starts off a special competition they're having in New York City, and I was asked by the FDNY to be in it. Not only to be in the motorcade, but also I may have a warrior to come along with me. It's going to be very memorable, something that I consider this to be the SEMA event of my build. I don't think anything can top this. Sitting here on my kitchen table with an American flag folded on the table with the rivet that was donated to me by the widow of the firefighter that was killed on 9/11 from the nut house. So I'm going to bring that along with me so that kind of goes back home for a little bit. But I hope to get a bunch more of these recordings going. Every time I stop someplace, we're going to stop at Coney Island, a couple photo shoots, and then it's just going to be an amazing event. I have a friend of mine, Scott, from Any Dreams, coming along, who took his day off of work to be my professional photographer, and the pictures are going to be phenomenal. So I'll keep in touch. Till then, talk to you later.
All right, Tom. Thanks for sharing that voicemail. It's really just very cool to be able to be a part of something like that. Man, did you get a chance to see these pictures of his JK?
Yeah, you showed them to me a little bit earlier. I love the Jeep. I love the fact that there are people that still won't let it go. People need to remember what happened, and I appreciate his time. I appreciate his effort, putting in and remembering people that put their life on the line, not just military folks, that police officers, firefighters, sometimes even medical ambulance drivers. They're putting their life on the line sometimes going to these accidents. I mean, especially driving around California, I've seen guys almost hit ambulances while they're trying to go through intersections, try to get somewhere. And there are people that just don't care. They're so far. To show effort towards these people, and it makes me feel good that there are people out there that are still willing to put in an effort to try to keep the remembrance of lost, in my mind, lost soldiers in all the genres that I was talking about.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's those first responders are putting their lives on the line every day that they go to work. So it's really something else, and hundreds and hundreds of hours went into the build of that JK. The artwork on the hood alone is just unbelievable. I don't know if it was airbrushed or what, but it's just amazing.
Yeah, that looks great.
And I totally get, the fact that having that Jeep featured at SEMA would not be as big a deal as having it in that parade going through New York City to Staten Island and everything. It's just, that's very cool. Very cool. Glad you got to be a part of that, Tom.
Me too, yes. I appreciate your work on it, and good luck with the vehicle. I hope it stays in good condition for you and everything you want to do with it.
Yeah, and Tom did try to get some more messages during the day while it was going on, but I totally get, it's hard to, step aside from as big a deal as that is just to record something for the show. So really, just thanks for, mentioning that and sending that to us here at the podcast and letting us be able to just view it from the sidelines anyway. So it's very cool. And I think that's all we have for episode 83 Like I said, that's coming up close on episode 100, so if you have anything that you want to send to us, you can send that to us through our email at the 4x4podcast@yahoo.com. On Facebook, of course, you can post it to the wall there, send it in a message, whatever, and we'll get that on a future show. I've still got some feedback piled up. We're going to save that for another one. You can send us feedback through iTunes. You can leave a comment there, give us a review, and we've made it easy for you. You just go to the 4x4podcast.com/iTunes, and that will take you right to the iTunes page where you can just give us a 5-star rating if you want, or you can go ahead and leave comments there. On Twitter, we are at the 4x4 Podcast. And Google Plus, we're there as well. We got an Instagram account. I don't post there as often as I comment on other people's stuff. But, if we see something cool.
We're having so many.
Yeah, it's tough trying to be everywhere, but we want to make sure you guys get your 4x4 podcast fix. And whenever you can't get a hold of us, there's lots of other outdoor and off-roading podcasts that you can check out, whether it be the XJ Talk Show or Adventure IQ, Rob Anderson over there, and Tony doing the XJ Talk Show. And his host, Josh, I don't know if Josh is on Facebook. I always keep giving him a hard time, but anyways.
I heard, he was actually on Facebook the other day. I friended the page the other day, and Tony got on. We had a nice little back and forth conversation for a little while, and he was glad to have me on Facebook as a friend. And then I asked him, so is this Tony or Josh? He's like, oh no, this is Tony. Oh, Josh just got on. So we had a little quick conversation, and that was about it. But
very cool.
We need to do maybe do a full-way show with them.
We've got some plans. I don't know if maybe I'm letting the cat out of the bag too early, but we're going to try and do something cool with all these other podcasts. So just stay tuned, and more cool stuff to come.
Stay tuned, and just not a spoiler alert, but event I'm going to. Actually, 2 different events. The 16th annual Sand Sport Show in Costa Mesa, California, on the 19th, 20th, and 21st. I will be there on the 20th. Walking around. So if you got anybody's out there, look for me. I'll have my 4x4 podcast shirt on, and hopefully one other buddy will be with me. And then on the 4th of October at the Lucas Oil Off-Road Expo, and that is at Pomona, California, the Raceway in Pomona, down in LA. So I'll be there on the 4th. I'm going to go down for that again, and hopefully be able to redo some interviews that got messed up the last time I was down there. So I already saw that Jen Wright is going to be there. He already posted that he was going to be there. So Tony Pellegrini, I hopefully can redo the interview with him, and we can get it on the show.
Excellent. And you mentioned your 4x4 podcast shirt. I'm actually having a hat made. We'll get the first prototype and see how it turns out, and see about taking some orders for some more and get some of those out on the streets. But we do have stickers still, so if you want a sticker, you just get a hold of us, and we'll make sure we can get a sticker in your hands.
And like you said earlier in the show, or at the beginning of the show, go to Amazon, go to our page, go to Amazon. I have been doing some research on some stuff that we will bring later in our shows. I found some interesting stuff on Amazon that you can buy that's for your vehicle that will blow your mind. And you will just say, I have to have this, and you will order it. But make sure you go to the 4x4 Podcast, go to our section on support, click on the auto Amazon, and then go do your shopping.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's it for now. So God bless. Tread lightly and be safe out there while exploring your world.